morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Lucas Hupka. I work as a business developer with Easy Software. I've been doing that for the past 5 years, which is why I was assigned to do this webinar for you. So focused on Easy Redmine version 10. I don't want to spend too much of your time. I want to make sure this is quick, agile. It gives you everything you need without having to spend, hours and hours on this altogether. So I was going to spend about 20 minutes talking about the software. Throughout this webinar, you can use the Q&A section at the bottom of this Zoom screen or this Zoom tool that I'm using personally to ask questions because that's the only thing that will work. Chat won't work for me. I will try to address all of these questions at the second part of the webinar at the very end. Even though it's likely that I won't have all the answers to all your questions, the least I can do is redirect you to a responsible person or to someone who might have the answer, or just collect your questions and then answer them after the webinar, after I have a chance to talk to all my colleagues. Keep in mind that in case you have joined the webinar we organized last week on the new version of our second product, Easy Project, it's all going to be very similar to what I'm going to talk about today. So if you've done both webinars, good for you. You're going to remember everything there is in the version 10 of Easy Redmine Easy Project. If you're new, there's quite a few of you joining this webinar, and it's impossible for me to keep track of every single individual. Therefore, it's possible that some parts of this might be more understandable to some than others. However, it's definitely going to help every single person that's interested in learning more about our products and the new version we've released. If you've just started with Easy Redmine, it's also possible that you will not be able to follow 100% of the content, but I'll do what I can to make it balanced, to make it, easy for newcomers as well. What I'm going to be using is a fresh trial account I started on easyredmine.com website, and I personally definitely recommend you to do the same after the webinar if you haven't done it already. It doesn't cost you anything, and nothing can give you a better idea about the system, right? Like the first feel, getting familiar with the system, see what is its capability, all these things. So now let's go with the version 10. And while the screen sharing is turning on, let me open it up real quick. You should be able to see the screen in any second. And while that is happening, I just want to talk about saying that I'm personally making a difference between nice to have features and key features for clients that I can actually approach people with in terms of the new Easy Redmine version. It definitely doesn't mean that smaller changes should be overlooked. I'm just approaching it from a perspective of would I use this single point to approach a client or a partner and ask them to actually spend money on our software, just send money to our bank account in exchange for something. Some of it is incentive. Some of it can really change minds, tip scales, and work well throughout decision-making processes. So let's walk through the small stuff first and work our way up to biggest additions. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly open a new task because there's a small feature added at the very beginning of my list, and that is the attendance status in the user selection. You're creating a task, and while you're creating a task or a CRM case, anything within the system, you're able to assign it to one of the project members within that particular Easy Redmine application. Now, what we've done is that next to each of those users, you can actually see their attendance status. Now it says offline next to every single one just because it's a trial account, and all these are dummy users that we've created for the purpose of the trial account. But this is a small thing that can prevent huge mistakes on manager's part. So imagine you're assigning tasks to someone and you do not realize that they are having a sick day or they are having a vacation for the whole week, and you assign this task to them, and it might take hours or even days to realize that you've done something wrong. And during that time, you're sort of losing effectivity, you're losing productivity. So just this small thing that we did is something that can help you quite a bit. Obviously, this is bundled with the attendance management that we have in Easy Redmine. So for those of you that already have Easy Redmine with the attendance management plugin, this will be available to you in the version 10. For those of you that haven't purchased attendance management yet, this might be yet another incentive to look into that module again and think about adding it. Now, the second Second small addition that we've done with Easy Redmine 10 is a custom field type color on a project level. Now you can see it right here. I named it category for these purposes because that's really what it does, right? Like you have an option of choosing one of three colors or one of four if you consider none to be one of the alternatives. This is purely for categorizing your projects for the reporting, and it's something that can go hand in hand with priorities of your project. It's very simple. You can just assign colors. Each color will probably have a meaning for you internally, which you can obviously plan or define yourselves. And for us, it probably isn't something that I'm going to lead discussions with, but it's something that is super important for project managers that need their great portfolio planning and great overview of all their projects. For people that are used to creating custom dashboards and custom homepages, and it is very much a user experience thing. Now, these examples of these small tweaks we did for our clients are based on the requirements and feedbacks, and that's something that I use quite often. While it might not make a big deal for some of you, there are definitely others that valued this feature very much, even to the point that they requested us to develop it. And I'm personally very happy to be involved with a medium-sized organization because that allows us to remain flexible, talk to clients about their ideas, about their suggestions, and I know for a fact that it is not the case with most of the big players on the market. Therefore, if you would be using EasyRedmine extensively and you would feel like something is missing, you're always welcome to approach us and start talking to us about how we could make the experience better for you by adding something that you're missing in the software. Maybe it's something other clients are asking for as well, and we're going to add it into the software. And we've been doing that for the past 4 years or so, so we're quite used to that now. These changes go very well along with the core ideology of Easy Redmine, being able to customize the software as much as possible and use it to personalize your applications, your dashboards, your reports. Now, yep. Moving on to news that can play a big part in decision-making processes of many teams I've known over the past few years, and I can say that because I've actually seen that happen. And the first one is so-called login lock. For this, I'm going to quickly access the administration of my EasyRedmine trial account. I'm going to scroll down and I'm click on settings, overall general settings of the application right here. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go to the authentication tab and scroll down a bit and you can find this part, unsuccessful login attempts. Once again, it's very simple. You can activate this feature which says that after a certain amount of unsuccessful attempts of a user, you can block them for a certain amount of time, which you can obviously define yourselves. You can add a message for your users. You can also decide that you want to notify either all administrators of the application or just a single user, single person that's responsible for communicating with your staff about how they should log into your internal Easy Redmine. And once again, this takes a minute to show, but it can go a long way for many clients. I've had a lot of questions on this topic throughout the past few years, and to me, nobody has ever complained about an application being too safe, right? Especially nowadays, especially for the past 2 years, for example, ever since there was this big scandal with Facebook and internal data, all my clients have been asking about data security and data sensitivity all the time. So this is a small step towards that. Obviously, not saying that's the only thing. For these purposes, open the trial account, scroll through the administration section, you're going to find much more. This is just a new small thing that we've added. Now, the second bigger thing we call dependent custom fields. For this, I'm going to open a new task again, or at least try to. If you're not familiar, what is a custom field in Easy Redmine? It's just a field on a project, on a task, on contact, on CRM case, on whatever entity we have that you can create yourselves and you can define all its values, all its workflows, anything that you need. It's something that we use to make sure our software is as personalizable as possible. Dependent custom field, it's a same story. We've had tons of questions on this topic, and it's a way for us to structure custom fields. And the simplest thing I can do is to show it, because once I set it up, it's pretty simple to use and pretty simple to showcase. So right here, I'm looking at these two custom fields on the very bottom, celebrity and name. Now, I understand, I realize those are not very much, project management related. I just wanted to use something that's really translatable for every single person. So as you can see, the name custom field is disabled. I can't do anything with it as of now because this one has not been defined. So I'm going to define the celebrity, and let's go for an actor. I'm looking for an actor. Now the second custom field, the name, is activated, and I can open it up, and there's a drop-down list of various actors that I can choose from. I have defined these prior to this webinar, obviously. So I have Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Meryl Streep, and Sandra Bullock that I can choose from. Or you can choose musician instead, and as you can see, values of the name will change. Ed Sheeran, Robbie Williams, Miley Cyrus, Whitney Houston. Same thing if I add athlete or if I select athlete in the celebrity custom field. So this is something that can go a long way for plenty of our clients. I'll probably say that it can really be utilizable for every single client that we have. The question is whether or not it would actually bring them enough value to, add it to their current structure and just start working with it. But from my point of view, definitely something we will want to be demonstrating moving forward. Once again, something that people have been talking to us quite a few times. And for me, I just love that I can personalize this and make sure that when I'm talking to my clients or partners, I can take 10 minutes before the call and show them, or take the time and set up custom fields based on what I know about the company. Just sort of displays that we're able to put a lot more effort in than usual. Now, there's one more field on the task level, and that is called duration, and it's this one, duration. This is one of the things that we once again added uh, based on our client's feedback and based on our client's suggestion. And this one is pretty simple. You create a task and you define a start date, and then you can define a duration. So I can define a duration of 10 days, which means the due date will be calculated automatically based on the working schedule of my EasyRedmine application. You can do it the other way around as well. You can define the due date instead, and the duration will be calculated automatically. And the duration you can specify in days, weeks, months. So for these purposes, for those of you that want to, work with tasks very quickly, and you have a certain bunch of tasks you're going to work with over and over, and you know that you're defining a sort of a default time for these tasks, you know that that's going to be adjusted in the future. This is a great way of working with that. So these would be the things that I wanted to approach at first, but there's one bigger addition to the current Easy Software product portfolio, and that is risk management. I'm gonna open this up real quick. I'm gonna open one of the projects that we have on this topic. It should be easy risky project. Yeah, there we go. Some of you might have heard about this since we have been planning this extension to our softwares for quite a while. One major difference here is that risk management is not an upgrade of the core or an upgrade of an existing plugin. It is actually a brand new module, so existing clients joining the webinar might want to take a peek at our pricing page, approach our teams if you don't want to wait and you want the risk management right away. I should have said that at the beginning of the webinar, but if you go to our website, easysoftware.com, easyredmine.com, easyproject.com, and just reach out to any email address you can find, it will reach the correct person. Like I said, we're a medium-sized company, which allows us to be very flexible and very approachable from this regard. Now, I always prefer stories with products, and there's definitely one to be made regarding risk management right now, especially right now, since I'm doing the webinar at home. Plenty of you are definitely at home as well. I'm sure many of us are still working and watching from home instead of sitting at the office. The whole situation has introduced tons of risks nobody has addressed before, and it might make sense to think about preventing such issues in the future. Whether or not some of the people out there can handle it is a different story. We can only provide and present the product, but it is half the success. Obviously, the clients and partners need to put the effort in as well. But if it's not perfect, at least preventing it or at least minimizing it as much as possible can also go a long way. So speaking about risks, now I talked about projects, I talked about tasks, contacts. Those are entities in EasyRedmine. Risk is actually a new entity, and it is important to stress this out. So it's not a type of a task, it's not a type of a project, it's a brand new entity in EasyRedmine system. As always, for me, demos or presentations should be very clear and very understandable, so I will keep it simple. I will stay out of settings and configurations. If you would like to have a full presentation of the full risk management, feature of the full Easy Redmine functionality, just reach out to our sales. One of our sales consultants will be happy to help and do an individual demo with you and or your team to make sure we can adhere to your specific requirements. But for this, I will stay out of the administration section. I just want to demonstrate possible results and possible advantages. So for this, I've created this. As you can see, I accessed the Easy Risky project. You can access this as well in your trial accounts. I'm going to open the tab that says risks. And as you can see, there is a certain process to every risk. You first need to identify it, you need to analyze it, and after you've analyzed it, you can plan around it, and after that, actually monitor the risk and control it. That's always a cycle. It's a sort of a circle cycle that's going to repeat itself over and over again. Now use this project to make sure you can see how a dashboard focused on risk management can look like. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new risk entity on the right side right here, just to show you how this works. So you have the risk identification, like I said, you have a risk evaluation, risk solution, and others. Now, if I open this real quick, you can see that I define a name of the risk. I can assign it to somebody. I can work with the statuses. We have 4: identified, assessed, controlled, closed. I can assign it to a specific project. And if I move down to risk evaluation, you can see further, categories that I can work with, such as probability, impact, category, response. Now, once again, in each Redmine, we always stress how important personalization can be. So all of these, the status, all these 4 statuses, you can delete all of those statuses. You can create your own associated with your own workflow. And it's not like you have to touch the source code. It's very simple. You do it through the administration section. And most of all, we do have a team of product experts that will be happy to help you to do one-on-one, sessions or online meetings where they can show you how all of these things can be configured, or they can configure it for you and for your company based on your requirements. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to quickly go to the administration section for the last time during the webinar. I'm going to open categories. And as you can see, there's plenty of those, document categories, task priorities, project priorities. And then we have 6 categories focused on the risks, and it's risk status, risk response, category, impact, probability, severity. And like I said, all of these can be highly customized, or I can delete all of those. If I feel like I do not need risk severity, I just have one type of a risk, I can delete all the severities and just be done with it if I feel like it. All of these things are entirely up to me, and once again, you can use every single thing on your home pages right after. So I'm going to open the risk tab in the more section right now. And don't worry about not being able to follow. This will be recorded. You will be able to watch it again later, or I'm pretty sure that if you start your own Easy Redmine trial account, you will be able to do this on your own. Now, there is a simple dashboard that sort of displays how you can work with risk management. The thing is, it all revolves around a center point we call the risk matrix, which is a simple module that you can pin or use to put it on a homepage of one of your colleagues, and they can have such table or such matrix on their homepage, which is very easy to understand, right? If I see that I have 2 risks here in this particular box, I can just hover over or click on it. It shows me these risks, and it allows me to work with that very quickly and very agile without having to go through the system too much, because that's generally what you want to do, right? Like if you're switching from a software to another, it's not just about you as a project manager, it's also about all these people that are going to be using it, which means you need to make sure it's as easy to use as possible. That has always been the key for us. So for me, just this risk matrix is easy to understand, easy to set up, easy to use on home pages. And yes, this would be probably everything I wanted to mention about the risk management for now. From my point of view, always, always, always focus on the project management aspect. That's the core. It doesn't make that much sense to use Easy Redmine if you're not looking to become more efficient, if you're not looking to become more productive. So yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to open the Q&A section, and I'm going to look if I can start answering these questions one by one. A question: will this webinar Will this webinar be available for me to share with others in my organization? Definitely. We are recording it as we speak. I'm not sure if it's going to be uploaded the very next day. Probably not, but I would expect within like 2 or 3 days, it's definitely going to be online. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be an automatic email sent to every single attendee of this webinar that's going to inform you about this recording being online on our website and on our YouTube channel. That's the same question about the webinar. How many custom fields can we have per task? There is no limit. You can have as many custom fields as you want. However, you still need to follow common sense. It probably isn't a great idea to have dependent custom fields and have like 25 levels of these custom fields because you're going to drown in it. Therefore, it's always about being reasonable. It's always about what is going to work with you best and what you're going to learn the fastest. For these purposes, like I said, we have a team of product experts that's definitely available to help and will be happy to help. Can we assign a role to a task? Definitely, like I said, you can create custom fields. One of these custom fields could be called a role, and then you can assign it to a task. Can I start with due date and enter duration, then calculate start date? To be honest, I'm not sure myself, so let me start sharing again, and we can try this out. Okay, I'm gonna open a new task again. But the start date is usually the date this particular task is created. So I'm not sure if it's going to allow me to put no task date. So I put this one and I put duration as 5, and it does calculate the start date for me as well. So the answer is yes, I can definitely start with the due date, enter duration, and it's going to calculate the start date. So I can stop sharing. This would be that. When we're adding estimated hours, would it show how much we have left on the budget? Not automatically, but there are definitely custom fields that can help you with that. We either have computed custom fields that will sort of help you understand this. So you could have a task with an estimated time of 100 hours. You will put in 65 of spent time hours, and then the task is going to report that there's about 35 hours left of the task to do. So it's definitely doable, pretty easily, actually. Can you add more custom fields to risk identification and owner? I do believe so, yeah. The risk owner is pretty simple. It's always going to be one of the users from your user list, probably from the project team. When it comes to risk identification, once again, you can have as many of those values as you want, but then again, do you really want to have 20 risk identification values? Probably not. So it's usually around 3 to 6 would be the ideal amount in my point of view. Are these features already activated on our domain? I'm not sure if we have rolled out the version 10. I think we're doing this webinar, so it's either rolled out since the last week or it's going to be rolled out in the next one. If you're currently running an Easy Redmine application, just go to the administration section to general settings and you will be able to see the version that you're running. If it doesn't say Easy Redmine 10, then you probably do not have these. If it's not rolled out automatically, you can definitely reach out to support@easyredmine.com and ask them to do that for you right away. Now, keep in mind that this is applicable to our EasyRedmine client in cloud. If you're running the server application of EasyRedmine, you will need to make sure that you do have updates paid for, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to download the latest version of EasyRedmine. But that's nothing we can address right now. Once again, if you want to figure this out to the point, just email support@easyredmine.com. They will definitely be able to help. What are the restrictions of custom fields when I'm using a task list? In classic Redmine, some custom can be used for filtering, grouping. In this case, in Easy Redmine, when you're creating a custom field, you can actually decide whether or not these custom fields should be available to use in filters, or if they should be searchable, or if you can group using them. In 99% of these cases, you can definitely use all these custom fields to filter or group. Once again, that's something that we have been utilizing a lot on our homepages and on our report pages within our internal Redmine and also within our trial accounts and when providing it to our clients. So yes. Can you give an example of some of the type of risks that you might identify and track within the new module? We can open it. We can quickly open this up. To be honest, I'm not working with risk management myself personally, but that shouldn't be a problem. because there are some types of risks already predefined. So if I open a new risk here, that's probably on the status. And if it's not that, you would be, if it's not the status you're looking for, it's that, if that would be enough for you, or the, for example, the category, which usually is the type you're talking about. The type of the risk would probably be, environmental, organizational, internal. Once again, these are just examples that we have created for this trial account. I'm sure you would have your own, but if not, then you should be able to go to the administration section and open a new custom field on a risk entity that you can then use. You could call it type of a risk, and then you add whatever values you're looking for and just work with that. So yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Will you later give another webinar or a more in-depth demo of the module? I will not be doing that personally, but like I said, if you do need to learn more about risk management, if you would be thinking about adding it to your Easy Redmine or purchasing it brand new with the full Easy Redmine, then definitely reach out to sales, either sales@easyredmine.com, or just go to our website and email the info page, and one of our sales consultants will be happy to do this. We'll be happy to plan a call and do an online meeting just with you to help you with with the module itself. Does EasyRedmine track changes in other objects than issues, projects, users? Definitely. That's what we've been doing for the past years and years. EasyRedmine has always been about project management. So tasks or issues, tasks, projects, users, these entities have always been the key foundation, the building stone of EasyRedmine, and we have very much focused on this ever since. So yes. Is it possible to edit and introduce information about duration into Gantt view? I'm not 100% sure. You can work with columns to a degree. I'm not able to show that right now with this trial account. It is possible, even though from my point of view, the easiest thing you can do is open a trial account, go to any of the projects that we have created, and just test it out. That's probably the quickest solution. That's going to take about 3 minutes, and you're going to learn exactly what you're looking for. Is it able to generate project status report, one page including overall task status, budget, open issues? Definitely, it's definitely possible, and it's definitely able to generate such status reports. Now, obviously, I can't 100% promise this because I don't really understand how exactly should this report look like. But if you would be looking for a report of a project, how many tasks this project has, how much spend time, how much estimated time, what's the budget estimated, what's the actual spent budget, all these things can definitely be put in on a homepage that you can use, or the report page that you can use or your colleagues can use to get a clear overview of the project itself. Is there any restriction on work hours report in number of grouping levels as in classical Redmine? Probably not sure if I understand this one, so this will be probably easier if you just email support@easyredmine.com, because me personally, I have never worked with the classic Redmine, with the vanilla Redmine. So all I know, or like, I've worked with it to a degree, but I'm nearly not as experienced in Redmine as I am in Easy Redmine and Easy Project. But however, Easy Redmine is still built on the Redmine itself. It's still built on the same platform. If there's a new version of Redmine released, what we do is we update Easy Redmine to make sure it works on the regular Redmine, on the classic Redmine. Therefore, it leads me to believe that whatever is possible in the regular Redmine is definitely doable in Easy Redmine as well. Can we build in some logics in the system so it automatically identifies the risk? I think so. You can definitely have default values of these identifications, or you can also create some queries within the system that will help you do this. But once again, nothing I can demonstrate right here. If it wouldn't be possible exactly how you're looking for, once again, it's a new module. We're very much looking to keep improving it moving forward. So feel free to test it out in the trial account and then email support@easyredmine.com to get the help you're looking for. We'll just wait for documentation on using dependent custom field. Yep, if you type dependent custom fields into the field search section on the EasyRedmine website, easyredmine.com, you will learn more about the dependent custom fields. It's pretty straightforward. There's just it takes around 2 to 3 minutes to set it up. So I very highly believe that it's not going to be a problem. How issues are linked to different contracts within one project? probably do not understand this one. Different contact within one project. Yeah, this one is probably to be taken personally because I don't want to just dive deep into this and I do not understand 100%. So for this one, just feel free to email info@easysoftware.com or whatever email you find on our website, and we'll be able to help. Based on impact and probability, can risk rating be computed, say multiplying impact value? Yep, there are values that can be calculated exactly based on the impact and probability. So definitely yes to this question. Do you have any plans for integrating EasyRedmine with Microsoft Teams? I do not know personally, but I know that we're working very hard on integrations. My point of view is that it's very important nowadays, especially with Slack and Microsoft Teams being so popular. So if you will need some integration to be done, I'm going to be repeating myself, but go ahead and reach out to support@easyredmine.com. These are the guys you want to contact with this. These are the technical guys that will be able to, redirect you to the correct person that's going to be able to talk about integrations. If you do not have that already, we can do that, even though it would probably be a paid service. So then it depends on how important it would actually be for you to set up. However, it's nothing that we wouldn't be able to, be flexible on. I just want to check. Does this fix the issue where users get notified multiple times when updating a task? Right now, my users get notified when you update the task, notes, and assignment. When we're talking about email notifications, usually the easiest thing you can do is to go to the specific user and then edit it. Because, for example, you can personally set up that you don't want to be notified about a user you make yourselves. In general, there should be just one email notification sent. So step one, check the particular user, their user settings, and how email notifications are set. Step two, go to the administration section, to email, to settings, to notifications, and then you can also define how our email notifications sent. If that wouldn't be enough, then once again, support@easyredmine.com. If you can include any print screens or a print screen of those multiple email notifications you have received, then by all means send that to them. That's going to make things much easier. Okay, I have time for 2-1. Does EasyRedmine support Git integrations out of the box? We're definitely Git friendly, but once again, probably a question for someone more technical, so definitely support. But yes, we personally ourselves are working with GitHub and GitLab, and both of those have been working very well for us with EasyRedmine and Easy Project as well. Can you further explain the changes to the email notification queue? I don't think there are any changes to email notification queue in the version 10. Therefore, that's not for me to speak about right here. So once again, probably more for the support because I can't really answer these questions right now. Like I said, definitely user settings, definitely administration settings, email notifications. That's the first step. If this doesn't help, please contact the support with this. And this would close it out. This would close out the Q&A section. Thank you very much. It has been a little over 30 minutes due to those questions, but the more questions, the better. We always like that. So thank you very much for joining the webinar. Thank you very much for taking the time and actually talking to us or talking to me about EasyRedmine. I'm very happy there was so many of you joining the call. This has been me, once again, Lucas Zupka, working as a business developer with Easy Software. It was a pleasure to meet you all guys here, even though I wouldn't be able to see your faces. And you have a great day. Once again, the recording will be available within a short few days. And yeah, stay strong during the crisis. Bye-bye.